Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. So Ready Player One is a movie directed by Steven Spielberg based upon a very popular book in 2011. Now, whenever I did see this trailer initially, I really wasn't that excited at all because to me, it just looks like a movie full of CG and nostalgia, even though it was directed by the great Steven Spielberg. However, after seeing it now, I am so glad that I did. Now, in this review, I will be leaving a non-spoilers on the first half of the review, but on the second half, there will be spoilers, so I will give you fair warning before that happens. And so the whole point of this story surrounds one main character at the beginning. His name is Wade Watts, and he lives in the year 2045 in Columbus, Ohio. And the people in this time frame, they actually live in a very poor, overpopulated dystopian future, okay? And pretty much everybody is on this virtual world called Oasis. You know, that's where a lot of people spend most of their life to get away from the realities of the world. And the Oasis was actually founded by this person named James Holliday and his partner Ogden Morrow. And so they are the ones who created this world. And James Holliday actually is passed away. But before he did, he actually left a game, a secret game. And he actually has a quest where if you find 3 keys that you will be able to actually have ownership of the Oasis and effectively become a trillionaire because the company is worth so much money. And so that is the whole basic premise. And then the other company who's trying to get these 3 keys is a company called IOI. And so if they were to get the 3 keys, they would be the biggest company in the world, okay? Because Oasis was pretty much their competitor, okay? And so that is the main point of this particular movie. But whenever you get into the virtual world, in Oasis, that's where things change. And in this virtual world, Wade Watts is this character named Percival. And then he has other characters and other friends there with him, such as H, Artemis, Daito, and Sho, and they're called the High Five. And in this, there are gunters. They are named gunters because they are egg hunting. And egg hunting is this treasure that everybody is seeking to get these 3 keys and have ownership of the Oasis. And so within this world, people could be whatever they want, pretty much. They are these avatars. So that's why you're going to see so many different types of characters in this from all types of genres, all types of video games, movies. You'll see Doom characters in there. You'll see Street Fighter characters. So many references to 80s video games, Atari. You'll also see King Kong, Jurassic Park, Back to the Future. The list goes on and on. And then you'll see a lot of references to very popular movies, not only in the 80s, but also the 70s as well. And so Steven Spielberg did an amazing job in integrating all of these things in a way that makes sense. And there's so much good music in this movie. You know, I myself being a child of the 80s, this is perfect. And the way that Spielberg did it was absolutely perfect, you know. And that's probably the best thing about this movie. The thing that I thought I would hate the most, the CG and the nostalgia part, it was really the things that really kept my attention, okay? And then when you're in this virtual world, things just look amazing, okay? It's made to look artificial. You know, it's made to put you in a video game, you know, but it's also a movie as well. You get what I mean. There's so many movie references in this movie. And then as you're watching it, you want to spend more and more time in this actual Oasis, okay? Just like the actual real characters do. And then whenever you go back into the real world, you kind of go on a different story. It's kind of like 2 stories in one. You know, the main story is actually this quest, but then there's also this side story about this corporation and the world that they live in trying to take things over, okay? And there is a developing strong relationship between the main characters, Percival, Wade Watts, and Artemis, Samantha in this case. And so that's really the main 2 characters that the movie focuses on. But the other side characters, they're fun as well. I really did enjoy H. Daito and Sho, when they showed up, they were cool. But there's also other characters like IROC and also Nolan Sorrento, who's basically the evil bad guy in this movie of the IOI Corporation. And there's other villains such as Fanal, and there's other side characters as well, but mostly those are the main characters that it's focused on. And the story itself, it's not really complex. They're on this quest to find these keys. These gunters are trying to get through this, and then they will basically take control of Oasis, and I guess they would have their own world after that. I'm not really sure, but the whole point of it is when you do get control of Oasis, you also become practically a trillionaire because you actually own that company. So there's a huge motivation for a lot of people all around the world to actually get these keys, you know, okay? So that is the whole point of the movie. Now, in terms of the things that I didn't really enjoy about the movie, okay, is the characters, okay? That's kind of funny to say that, because the characters in the real world, I did not really enjoy them, okay? But whenever they're in the virtual world, in Oasis, that's why it's funny, because I enjoyed that more, you know? And the more times that the movie spent in the real world, the more time I actually wanted to spend in Oasis, which is something that I think Spielberg intentionally did, because as you watch this movie, there is a message to be told there, but it really makes sense why he did it that way. But the only problem with doing that is that you're kind of taken out of the awesome elements in Oasis, you know? When you're in there, you are in this whole world of video games, movies, this pop culture references. There's so many things to enjoy, and you want to spend all your time in there. And then whenever you go back out to the real world, it's just not as much fun, okay? Now, other than that, you know, I really can't nitpick on too many other things, because like I said, the story is very simple, and the characters, when they're not in the virtual world, for the most part, they're just kind of standard, okay? And in terms of the messaging and everything else, that really wasn't that important to me as well, you know? What is important, what this movie did right, was it really made things fun, and it took nostalgia on a whole different level. And then the whole virtual world of this Oasis, it was amazing to me, you know? That's what I enjoyed most about it. And so I recommend, you know, if you are somebody who is a child of the 80s, 70s, or maybe you just really enjoy geek culture, you know, you enjoy video games, movies, fantasy, you will absolutely love this movie. And there's so many different characters that you could pick out of if you are really into that stuff, okay? And so the bad part is that if you expect more than just a fun movie with a simple story and really deep characters, this is definitely not the movie for you. So overall, I really feel like Ready Player One is a fun movie. It's a really great time, especially if you are into all those things that I just mentioned. And if you are a video gamer, you'll probably really love this movie, you know? So it has everything from the Atari all the way to modern games, PC gaming, everything's in there. So you really get a kick out of it. Okay, so that's it for the non-spoilers review. I do give it a thumbs up. You should check it out if you haven't seen it, okay? So now I'm going to get to the actual spoilers, okay? So some of the things that I really did not enjoy about this, you know, like I said, the real world characters, okay? I didn't see why it mattered that Wade Watts and the other character, Artemis, or Samantha in this case, I didn't really see how that relationship built up so fast. Okay, I mean, they basically met in the virtual world, in the whole club scene. He tells her he loves her, and then when he meets her in real life, they already have a romantic connection. That makes absolutely no sense. She's part of the rebellion, and with IOI being so powerful, with Sorrentos and Nolan Sorrentos, I don't see how they couldn't like just destroy them and wipe them out, okay? And then them having this facility to, you know, people who are in debt, forcing them to play this game to find the treasure. I really don't see how that was even legal, okay? So those type of things really get into my mind. And how were they not able to find out about these people in the real world earlier? You know, IOI, with all the resources they had, I would think that they would have already found the treasure already. Okay, so I mean, a lot of the parts that I'm like really not enjoying, it's like the real world parts. Okay, they didn't take a lot of time to develop that. Like for example, like Wade Watts, his aunt, whenever her and her boyfriend gets killed, there's not really a lot of emotion invested in it. And so that was in the real world. People actually died, okay? And then even when you meet the real characters of the virtual characters, you know, H, Daito, and Sho, I didn't really care about them at all. Okay, and even for the most part, Artemis as well, you know. And then whenever you're in the virtual world, that's when things like, it got a lot better, but at the same time, it didn't make sense. Okay, like, you know, why would James Holliday and Ogden Morrow, and Morrow didn't know everything, and I did really enjoy that Ogden Morrow was Simon Pegg. I didn't really get why it was so elaborate for all this stuff, okay? It didn't really make a lot of sense to me, and the payoff, I don't know, it really wasn't that great, okay? And then also, like, I didn't really know who the central villain was, you know, even though Nolan Sorrento was supposed to be the central villain, I never really got that sense. I really like IROC as a villain more than I did Nolan's Sorrento's character. But the unfortunate thing is you don't ever meet IROC, okay? And I don't know. I think a lot of the things that I wish could be done better was just spend more time in a virtual world. And if they did want to spend time in the real world, I think they could have fleshed it out a lot more and gone deeper in it, okay, than just having these these distractions in the movie. That's really what it was. Now, in terms of all the nostalgic stuff, man, that part with The Shining, that was awesome. That was very, very unexpected to me. The Atari 2600 references, that was really sweet that they made that the final, the final key, once you have the Atari 2600. There's just so many different side characters that you will notice, but then so many that you don't notice. Obviously you've probably seen the Iron Giant, but I really love the Gundam suit on there, Mech Godzilla, and also whenever Wade Watts or Percival fought the characters at the end, he actually did a Hadouken as well. That was pretty cool. And so lots of cool elements there. Too bad that the majority of properties they had there was Warner and Universal, because obviously those companies own a lot of characters. I wish they could have got stuff on there like Star Wars. That would have been awesome, or maybe other anime properties like maybe Robotech. They did have Akira's bike in there. And so, yeah, overall, it's a fun movie. Okay, and in terms of the spoilers, I don't think it is spoiled too much. Even if you did see my spoiler section, it won't spoil too much because, like I said, the movie is really not so much about the story and the characters. It's more just about having a lot of fun and having a lot of nostalgia and enjoying the visual presentation that's brought to you by Steven Spielberg and company. So that's it for my review of Ready Player One. If you had any thoughts on this or if you've seen it yourself, be sure to leave it in the comments area below. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to subscribe. And if you wanted to support my channel further, you could do that at patreon.com/Geek Outdoors. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com. And I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.